Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Goffstown School Board meeting. It's 7 o'clock. I call the meeting to order. We can all rise and say the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so before we get started, we do have a board member on the phone tonight because we had to reschedule from last night with bad weather. So I have Dan Cloutier, if you can just say here and if you're alone.
I am here. I actually am alone.
Thank you, Dan. Jared Talbot will call in later on. So Caroline, just so you know, every vote we have to do a roll call. Okay. So when I call on you, you just say your vote. Thank you. All right, so correspondence, we have none tonight, correct?
We have none.
All right, accommodations, good news? Yep, I have a few things to share this evening.
Over at Maple Avenue, there was the 3rd and 4th grade spelling bee last week. They had classroom competitions and a school-wide bee. So congratulations to Noah B. in 4th grade for winning the bee, and for the runner-up, Lucia G. in 3rd grade for doing an outstanding job. At Bartlett, last week, they had a whole school assembly where they had Reddy, the prepared puppy, come to Bartlett and talk about safety. Reddy is the mascot for the New Hampshire Homeland Security, and he is always ready for an emergency. So they went over with the students how to prepare for an emergency at home. So the importance of having an emergency plan. They talked about a shopping kit for things at home that you would need if there was an emergency. So special thank you to them. The students had a great opportunity to be able to learn a little bit about safety. At Glen Lake, the students there are so excited for all of this snow. They were able to break out the sleds and do some sledding out back, which is always really fun for our students in preschool and kindergarten. And lastly, at Mountain View, unfortunately, when you have a dance called the Snowflake Dance, this is the second time that it has had to be rescheduled because of no school. I did perhaps mention to them it might be time to rename the dance so that we can have it. But they're looking to reschedule that for late winter, early spring. So for our students, yes, it is coming, hopefully sooner rather than later. They also are bringing back at Mountain View, with the help of MVP, Winter Carnival, which we haven't been able to run in over 3 years. So they're very excited about that. It's going to be held on February 23rd from 5:30 to 7:30 at Mountain View. There'll be lots of fun games, prizes, and delicious food. So thank you to MVP and the administration over at Mountain View for getting that put back together.
Awesome. Yep. Thank you, Wendy. Yep. Anyone else? Go ahead, Shane.
I have 2 items tonight. The first one is last week on WMUR, one of our student athletes, Ava Winterburn, one of our girls basketball players, was highlighted on the news. They noted that she was one of the best scorers in the state and that she was a tremendous student. So congratulations to her on that. That was great to see. And I know we've talked a lot recently about our unified basketball team that just started.
Yes.
They recently hosted Concord. I have a friend who, I don't know if she coaches, but she's involved with the Concord program. And she had nothing but great things to say about our unified team and how they hosted the event. She said they made it feel like a varsity event. The students and the spectators were great. They cheered for both teams. So she actually reached out to me and said, you know, the Goffstown community is tremendous and they really do unify the right way. So I know we just started, but we are on the right track. So it's really great to see.
Awesome.
So.
Thank you, Shane.
Nice to hear.
Anyone else? Accommodations, good news?
Nope.
All right, so as you all see, that Superintendent Bulkey could not attend tonight, so we have Wendy filling in. So if you have any questions, let Wendy know.
Actually, Heather,
Yes,
the student was Ava Winterburn.
yes,
That
Right.
was, yeah.
yeah, that's what he said.
Oh, we did, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah, speak up, Shane.
I have a cold clogged head, so I apologize.
no worries. All right, so any public comment? Seeing none, so I will close that. So we are moving on to approving the January 9th school board meeting minutes. Did everybody have a chance to read them? Anybody see anything?
Move to approve the minutes of January 9th.
Thank you, Ellen. Do I have a second? By Shane. Any further discussion? All right, so this is where we're going to do roll call. So Caroline?
Yes.
Yes.
Ginny, Retta,
Yes.
Heather, yes, Dan,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
and Shane.
Yes.
All right, we're unanimous. I will get that in a better order for you, Denise, moving forward. I'm out of sync here.
It's been a little while.
It's been a little while doing roll call. All right, committee reports. Scott?
Sure. Due to the postponement of the meeting, we usually have an A&F meeting, but we did not have one this evening. It was a pretty light agenda anyway, so I'll go over the manifest. You have a manifest before you tonight in the amount of $2,238,572.70. As is very typical, payroll, taxes, and benefits comprise a little over $1.7 million of that amount. Special ed activity is mostly out-of-district placements and contracted services, and these are the ones that you see, typically. We have a new vendor, Community House, and that is an out-of-district placement. We have seen a bit more out-of-district placements this year, so this is a new vendor. For general expenses, we only have 4 that exceed $5,000. SAU assessment, which is a little over $167,000 for the month of January. Want to let you know that the assessment is not the same every month. We change the assessment. It's not uniform. We don't take Goffstown share and divide by 10. We do that for cash flow purposes for the SAU and for Goffstown, just so you know. The amounts sometimes change. The next one is for the STA, Student Transportation of America, Goffstown Truck Center, and that is your regular education transportation for January. Dead River, $41,000 for propane, and then lastly, Amazon, a little over $11,000 for school supplies, books, and equipment. The equipment was actually, a lot of them were microscopes here at Goffstown High School. That was almost $5,000 in replacement microscopes. And then lastly, Performance Food Service, again, a little over $11,000. That's for food and commodities. Again, pretty light.
Yeah, it is light. Anybody have
terms
any
of-
questions for Scott? All right, so I'll need a motion.
Move to approve the manifest as presented.
Thank you, Ellen. Do I have a second? By Ginny? Okay, any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll do roll call. So Shane?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Caroline?
Yes.
Ginny?
Yes.
Retta?
Yes.
Heather, yes. We're unanimous. Thank you. All right, go ahead.
All right, the
That's
next
better.
thing was, I wanted to inform the board that I'm looking into a purchasing cooperative called SPC for copiers and managed print. I learned about this from my association meeting, which I found out that a lot of them are doing it. So basically, it's a vendor that does the RFP process, and they basically put out to bid copier purchases, copier leases, managed print, which is all of our networked printers within the district. They put all of that out as one big bid once a year, and then they return that bid to each individual school districts, and they give, our current vendor is one of the bidders. From what has been shared with me by not only this vendor who does this, but about a half a dozen school districts, is that you can pick any vendor you want, but you're getting a much better price. So our, a friend of mine who is the BA in Hudson put out an RFP for photocopiers, and she thought she had a good price, and when she put it through this particular cooperative, it was 30% less. So even though this cooperative, they have a 10% fee, it was still far less. So I want to explore this purchasing cooperative. I'll keep you posted, on that. But it looks like, as I said, there's tremendous benefit going to all these association meetings because you learn like what others are doing, and obviously they've probably taken some of the things I've done maybe, but I'm learning a ton from my peers, and this is one of them that I think is a win. Steve is involved in it as well, because Steve pretty much does all the technical pieces of our copiers and obviously all of our printers, so he's aware of it as well. They'll come in, they'll do an inventory, all the ages. I will share with you that photocopiers are a lot like photography vendors, school photography vendors. Like, everybody has an opinion on them. Okay, so whether it's Konica, Minolta, Canon, whatever, there are people who love certain ones and Xerox, et cetera. So we'll never be able to please every staff member or an assistant in the district, no matter what we do. But again, we're just looking to try to get the most competitive price, and I wanted to share that with you.
Okay, thank you, Scott.
One thing that's not on the agenda, Ellen asked me prior to the meeting, but I wanted to at least share with you. Ellen asked, did I hear back from the State Department of Education regarding our request for payment
Yeah.
for that law for area schools? I'm mentioning it tonight because it was ironic, because it came up today once again. So they did respond. I had to file a right-to-know request. They did comply with it, and they pretty much said that their attorney's opinion was that although that law is on the books, it's not been funded by the legislature. So I'm not sure that's an answer that I particularly agree with.
Yeah.
I don't think this is the place. I think I would rather wait for the superintendent to be here to talk about it, and if it involves litigation or anything, we would have to talk about that in a non-public session. But I wanted to give you the funny story today. So I testified for a bill that would raise the threshold on a public hearing notification from $5,000 to $20,000. It hasn't been changed in almost 20 years. Fred Plett sponsored the bill on our behalf, and the hearing was today. There were 3 hearings, and the last one was about the Department of Ed requesting $100,000 for additional attorney support to review all of the education laws because they're outdated.
Or not funded.
Or not funded.
So,
right?
seizing the opportunity, I filled out a red slip and spoke in favor of the bill. I read the excerpt of the law that is still on the books that is not funded, and I said to them, you basically, it says shall the Board of Ed will do this, and that means that you must. And you have to fund this. It was the Finance Committee, so it was perfect timing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of heads like, oh, like that. So
Can't just get rid of it.
No.
so either, I said to them, either you need to fulfill this or you need to get it off the books, but you can't have a law that's 54 years old and not, fund it. So, pretty ironic, the timing of the whole thing.
Yeah.
But that's where we stand on that, and then I think it would be a discussion later on as to what the board wishes to do, but I prefer that the superintendent's aware of it, but I think it would be a good discussion to have with him as to what our next steps might be. Please keep in mind that it's $37,000 for the last 2 years. If you go back 20 years, that number is not changing a lot.
Right.
It's all based upon the average daily membership, and in fact, the number is higher when Dunbarton was within the SAU. This could be $1 million of funds that were not paid over a 30-year period or a 25-year period, so this is big money.
Right.
Whether or not you can get it in arrears is a completely different story, but I just wanted to share that. We'll talk more in detail, but it's not a little insignificant amount of money.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Ellen.
But they can cancel the law, I guess, whatever, in that review, but that's as of this point forward.
Forward, right.
Not backwards.
Right.
Yes.
So the money
Yeah.
is still owed.
Yes, like I said, I'll be more prepared next time, but your timing was impeccable because it just happened, we just got the answer last week, and this happened today, so it was really timely.
So we've got to bid in
I
before
think
they
that
can-
Mr. Talbot is on the line, I think, so.
Okay. Jared, are you there?
Correct.
Hi, Jared.
So that's just for Denise's benefit, so that she
Yep.
can reflect that in the minutes.
All right, so we're almost to that part, Jared, but since you're on the line, just going to if you could just say here and if you're alone or not.
Here and not alone in a auditorium with my students.
All right, thank you so much, Jared. We're almost done with committee reports. All right, so Scott, you're all set?
I'm done, yep.
Okay, so Budget Committee, Ellen, Jared, who wants to?
A public hearing was held.
Okay.
There, as you know, the board did make a decision to lower that threshold of the
Yep.
capital reserve fund to 250. It went before the public hearing. The vote was 9-5. As I kind of expected that, no matter what the amount would be, there were some that were going to vote against it.
Right.
But it was more favorable than what it might have been if
So
we.
they
Kept it at 300.
Yes, they did, yeah.
Okay.
No changes, and again, went well. They also voted 14-0 on the budget and 14-0 on the contract.
Great,
Okay?
Oh,
So
good.
just so you're aware.
awesome. All right, so no meetings coming up with them?
No.
Okay. All right, PNC, Retta.
PNC will be meeting next. I apologize, last time I said we'd meet at the beginning of the month, and when I actually looked at my calendar, it coincided with the deliberative. So we will be meeting on the 20th, so the following board, before the following board meeting. And as I mentioned before, we'll be talking about communications and the website.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you. Policy review, we met recently, which will have first reads coming through later. Our next meeting is February 13th at 5:30 at the SAU. C&E. Jane?
CNE's next meeting is February 13th at 7 PM at the SAU. And we met, and we had a presentation by Joyce Lewis. She presented the handbooks of all the schools to us, and I'll give you a brief overview of the updates that were made on the handbooks.
I think we're doing that under
Yeah,
new
handbooks
business.
are later on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, we'll wait.
That's okay. Do you have your sheet? Is that on your sheet? Is that what this is for now or
Yes.
later?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll do it later.
Okay. All right, SAU policy, Shane.
All right, thank you. The SAU 19 PRC will meet on February 15th at 5:30 PM at the SAU Central Office, and we will hopefully finish the SAU policies that are in the queue.
Great, thank you, Shane. All right, so there's no superintendent report tonight. Brian will catch up with us at the next meeting. So now we're getting into budget.
Yep, we're getting into
signing.
budget and the warrant. So if
Yep.
everybody could take out their warrant. What we have to do this evening is that the school board needs to vote to either recommend or not recommend each warrant article. And then from there, I will then be able to process that. You'll need to sign that this evening. Dan and Jared, more than likely, I'll obtain the signatures from the folks that are here, but I think I did this with Dan once before, where I'll probably send you a Panda doc tomorrow morning. This way, everyone's signatures are on it. Okay?
Acknowledged.
Okay, great. So this evening, you have 5 warrant articles. Article number 1 involves the election of officers. There are 3 members that are up from the school board for a 3-year position. So we will need votes on the following 4, which is Article number 2 is the operating budget. The operating budget is $52,512,180. Should it be defeated, the default budget is $52,218,019. As I mentioned before, the Budget Committee voted after the public hearing to recommend it on a 14-0 vote, and now I would need a vote, hopefully, to recommend the Article 2, the operating budget, from a board member, a second, and then a vote.
I'll move that we recommend Article 2 operating budget.
Okay, do I have a second? I have a second by Shane. All right, so we're gonna do roll call. Shane?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
Caroline?
Yes.
Ginny?
Yes.
Retta?
Yes.
And Heather, yes.
All right, that's
So-
8-0.
Yep.
The next article is Article number 3. This is the Goffstown Support Staff Collective Bargaining Agreement that was reached between the Goffstown Educational Support Staff Unit and the Goffstown School Board. I will read off the 4 years. In 2023-2024, it is an estimated increase of $344,220. In 24-25, estimated increase of $345,012. In 25-26, $338,349. And in 26-27, $344,181. Of note is, of the first year is what we're most concerned about, and that is $344,220. There are some offsetting revenues. They come from the Special Revenue Fund in the amount of $11,634, and from food service, $27,000, $877, which means that we'll be raising $304,709 through taxation. So once again, on this one, the Budget Committee voted 14-0 to recommend.
Move to recommend Article 3, Goffstown Support Staff, CBA.
Okay, thank you, Ellen. Do I have a second? By Ginny? All right, I'll do roll call. Shane?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes?
Dan?
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
Caroline?
Yes.
Ginny?
Yes.
Retta?
Yes.
And Heather, yes. So that's 8-0 again.
All right, there's two more. Article number 4 deals with the Facilities Capital Reserve Fund deposit, and that amount is not $300,000 on your sheet, it is $250,000. And the Budget Committee voted 9-5 to recommend that article.
Okay. Shane?
I will move to recommend Article 4, the Facilities Capital Reserve Fund deposit.
All right, thank you, Shane. Do I have a second? By Caroline? All right, we'll do roll call. Shane?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Dan? Dan? Jared?
Sorry, it was on mute.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
All right.
Dan.
Thanks, Dan. Jared?
No.
Caroline?
Yes.
Ginny?
Yes.
Retta?
Yes.
And Heather, yes.
And so that vote
we-
is 7-1.
Yep, 7-1.
And then lastly is Article number 5. This is a article that will discontinue the Capital Reserve Fund. I'm sorry, the Bartlett Capital Reserve Fund. And I will say that there is something like $22 that's still left that will go into the general fund, because we did make I told you this would
Right.
happen.
Yep.
So with that, the Budget Committee does not vote on this one because it does not involve an appropriation, so this is solely a school board vote to recommend.
Okay.
Move to recommend Article 5, discontinue Bartlett CRF.
All right, by Ellen, do I have a second? By Ginny? Go ahead, Retta.
So can I just ask, will the public be made aware that there's only $22
Yes.
in here?
Yes.
Okay,
At the deliberative session, they'll be made aware of that.
okay.
Yeah.
Good question.
And again, it might be 18, I'm not, it's a paltry amount of money. There used to be over $7,500 in there, but then we withdrew it, but the timing of that, and believe it or not, that fund is getting decent interest lately, so, yeah.
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second, so I'm going to do roll call. Shane?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes?
Dan?
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
Caroline?
Yes.
Ginny?
Yes.
Yes.
And Heather, yes, so that's 8-0.
And then what happens, just so that everyone knows, tomorrow I will print out what's called the MS-27. Because we have an official budget committee, the budget committee signs off on that particular document, and Denise will then post both the warrant, which I'm going to have you sign this evening, as well as the budget committee signature, and that gets posted so that we can, prior to the deliberative session, so that the voters are warned as to what the recommendations are, what the warrant looks like, as well as what the budget looks like. So that will all happen on Monday, right, Denise?
Yep.
Yep.
Shane, go ahead.
Thank you. Heather, I need to drop. I apologize. There's other voting that's going on.
That's okay. Deliberative stuff?
Deliberative session is Monday, February.
No, do we need Jared to talk if he's going to do?
Yeah, so Jared, the quick one was, we typically talk tonight about who will be speaking to which warrant article. Would it be safe to assume that you will speak to the budget committee, the budget article? Or did he leave?
He might already be gone.
Did he leave?
All right, so let's do this. It'll be Jared or myself,
Okay.
okay?
That's fine.
So that's right, we should probably do that, you're right.
Okay, well, hang on, before you do that, Shane had his hand up.
Yeah, it was just a housekeeping item. On the front page, my name's spelled incorrectly, so I don't know if that matters. or
Okay.
not.
Your name
Yep,
wasn't...
it will get spelled, I will
Oh.
correct it.
That's,
Yep.
that's all I
Okay.
have. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, and you got one Jared got off, right, Denise? Yes. Okay, perfect. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so this will be at the time where we typically, who will
Motion, second.
second, because Denise prepares kind of a helpful script for that. So if that is the case, if Jared is potentially the one to speak to it, I would assume that Jared would be the motioner.
Okay. And if he's not,
Well,
we'll have, if he's not speaking to it, then we'll just still have him make the motion.
He'd still make the motion, right?
Okay.
And then we just need someone who would second it.
All right, who would like to second operating budget? Ginny?
And then the support staff contract, who was on the committee? Is that Dan?
Dan, Ellen, and Jared. Ellen, do you want to make that motion? All right.
I'm speaking to it.
Oh, speaking to it? Yeah.
Probably Kate might be
Kate
the one.
usually
I don't know.
speaks to
You know,
it.
usually she does, right?
Yeah.
On those?
I'll make the motion if that's okay.
Yeah. And then who would like to second that one?
I can second it.
Shane will second.
And then Article 4 is the CRF.
Yep. I know Jared has spoken about that in the past. Someone else want to do it this year? What was that?
Yeah, sometimes
voted
it's
against
a little
it.
challenging
Yeah.
when someone votes. I mean, but I will say this, that
He's done really
Jared
well with it.
did really, I mean, he, regardless of how he votes on something.
He doesn't show
Like,
it.
he takes this board's position to the nth degree,
He does.
so,
Does someone else want to speak to it? Because Jared may be doing the budget.
Maybe Scott could.
I can if you want me to. Yeah,
Okay.
Okay. So, but you still need a motion and a second, right?
All right, so who wants to motion that one?
I can motion.
Retta? And who would like to second?
I can.
Ginny? All right, and then the last article, do we need to,
Yep, same thing. We need, I can speak to that one.
speak to that one?
Yeah.
I'll motion it.
okay, we have Ellen.
We got to
and
get Caroline in the minutes, right?
Carolyn,
Caroline can second.
okay?
All right,
You okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
all right, is that it?
Yep.
Okay, so you're going to pass around the sheet for all of us to sign?
Dan's not in here.
Who?
Dan.
Oh, well, Dan can do Article 3.
You're gonna continue, and I'm not gonna have you sign anything just yet, because I'm gonna see if I can work the magic while you continue to do your meeting.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to,
Well, I mean,
What?
because you're doing 3 and 5, so if you
What
want
am I
to
doing?
cede one to Dan.
Would Dan
You're
like,
motioning it.
Yeah.
Oh,
We can have Dan. Dan, do you want to make a motion for Article 5?
I don't want to necessarily plan
To be
my
there.
attendance.
okay.
Okay,
Because-
that's fine.
I have no idea at the moment.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we'll keep it as it
Okay.
is. All right, so we're good with that, Scott?
yeah, I'm just gonna go and see if I can,
So is there anything else we need to discuss
no, not
for
on
that?
that.
Okay. All right, so the next is new business. We have some field trip requests.
Yes.
Wendy?
We have 2 field trip requests this evening from Goffstown High School. The first one is in March. It's an overnight trip for our Future Business Leaders of America. It's actually being held at the Doubletree Hotel in Manchester. It's a state leadership conference where they're looking to bring 40 or more students. At the State Leadership Conference, it's kind of a culminating event where the students participate in 60 different business-related events, like job interviews, business ethics, public speaking, decision-making, and there are some students throughout the competition that are awarded college scholarships as part of this. Like I said, it's on March 23rd and 24th. And the cost of the trip is $195, and then depending on the amount of students that are choosing to stay overnight, will depend on the additional cost for families for the hotel, depending on how many are occupying a room. So our advisors for FBLA are looking for approval for that overnight field trip.
Okay.
And this is paid for by those who participate?
Yes.
I move to approve it.
Okay, by Ellen. Do I have a second by Ginny? Is there any further discussion? Go ahead, Retta.
Just that this is offered every year.
year, mhm, yes.
And we actually, Goffstown placed pretty well last year.
Yeah?
They do.
All right, so if no further discussion, I'll do roll call. Shane?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes,
Caroline?
Yes.
Ginny?
Yes.
Retta?
Yes.
And Heather, yes. Have a great time.
Great.
The next one?
Yep, and the second trip is for the Performing Arts Department. It's actually an out-of-state trip. If you remember, they went to Hamilton in some pretty crazy weather, but they had a phenomenal time. Beetlejuice is actually coming to the Opera House in May, and through their connection, they're actually able to get tickets to that show, which is only going to be in Boston for 12 days, for Thursday, May 4th, for only $34 a seat, which is pretty amazing.
That's great.
So they are thinking with dinner and transportation, which is exactly what they did when they went to see Hamilton, that it'll be $80 per student for those that would like to go. Again, an unbelievable price. So we are looking to get approval for this trip tonight so that we can put the deposit down on seats to allow our performing arts students to be able to go.
Okay.
I will make a motion to approve the Beetlejuice performance field trip to Boston.
Great, thank you, Shane. Do I have a second? By Ginny. Any further discussion?
Have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
great.
Yeah, special
So
thank you to
cool.
Mrs. McCann. I know she works really hard and she's made some great connections to get this opportunity for our students.
Such
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. All right, so I'm going to do roll call. Shane?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Caroline? Yes. Ginny?
Yes.
Retta?
Yes.
And Heather, yes. Thank you. All right, so now, student handbook. So
Okay.
everybody got an email from Beth yesterday, but we're not making decisions
No,
tonight. But
no.
you want to go through what we're to review.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay, to continue where I started. All handbooks all handbook formatting will be taken care of once the work has been completed and approved. All handbooks will have the school district's mission and vision statements and guiding principles. We eliminated staffing directories, and we just added the administration information. Where policies were referenced in the handbooks, a statement will be added directing folks to the website for Goffstown to view the policies. So instead of looking in every handbook, they'll now be on the website, so there'll be one place for everybody to look, especially for people who have multiple students in multiple schools. The health section is updated in all of the handbooks to match. A lot of this formatting was done so that all of the schools pretty much match from school to school to school, where it was appropriate to match. Food service was updated in all the handbooks. Telephones were all updated with the area code 603, since we now have to dial 603 for everything. The school district's mission, vision, and guiding principles were inserted into all of the handbooks. And each of our notebook packets has a cover sheet indicating the updates made by the school administrators. The committee also has made minor amendments. So you received all of these by email so that you can review all of them. If you have any questions, get back to us, and we will hopefully approve these at our next meeting, because they do need to get them done to go to print.
Ginny, if I could just mention
Yes.
one thing.
Uh-huh.
So with the staff directories, the reason why we took those out is doing them this early when you have staff that are retiring or you have people that leave, the information in there wasn't always accurate, which is why it was important for us to put where to find it on the website so that families could get accurate information rather than seeing sometimes to be determined or have names in there that are no longer with the district. So that was something that was consistent in all of the buildings that we're looking to do.
Awesome, that makes sense. Thank you, Wendy. Go ahead, Alan.
Just for the public and people who, the parents mainly and the kids, these handbooks are packed with very important information. And I encourage people to take the time to read through them for the school that your child is in, because there is really good information in there for you to know.
Right. And you
they'll
guys
be
update it every year.
online.
Yes.
They won't be in your child's backpack. They'll be all online unless you need to have a hard copy of them.
Right.
Just so you know.
All right, so is that it with handbooks, Ginny?
That is it, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, the next is first reads. You have a packet, we did a bunch of stuff at policy. So anything highlighted in blue or red is what was recommended by administration and the committee. So these will come back at our next meeting for any questions anybody has. So read through them and let us know. All right, school staffing.
So
We
I
have
have
a staffing
Yes,
sheet?
I have a couple of things this evening. For track changes notification, we have Kristen Doucette moving from bachelor's plus 15 to her master's.
Do we have copies? Do we have,
I don't think we have this.
We don't.
you don't, no, I don't have one either.
It doesn't seem like
Okay,
it's a lot.
that's fine. Go ahead.
Kimberly Bolda is moving from bachelor's to bachelor's plus 15, and Catherine Erskine from bachelor's plus 30 to master's. So congratulations to all three of them for moving up in track changes. I also am looking for approval of two teacher resignations this evening, both of which are finishing out the year. The first one is Christy Towns, first grade teacher from Maple Ave, and Lily Pearsall, who is a social studies teacher here at Goffstown High School. So we thank them both for their service to our students and wish them well.
Move to approve the resignations.
All right, so I have Ellen as a motion. Do I have a second by Caroline? Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll do roll call. Shane?
Yes.
Ellen? Yes. Dan?
Yes.
Caroline?
Yes.
Ginny?
Yes.
Retta?
Yes.
And Heather, yes. So motion passed. So is that it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, other business that may legally come before the meeting? All right, so the next meeting is February 6th. We are going to meet here at 6 o'clock for a short school board meeting, and then we'll, what's the word I'm looking for?
We will recess.
Recess, that's the word, and we're going to go down to the theater, and we will have our deliberative, which will start at 7. So that board meeting won't be as heavy. And so
And then are we meeting again after?
Yes, if we need to go over anything or change anything, we'll be able to meet afterwards, but hopefully we won't.
Yeah, so
have-
technically, both the school board and the budget committee has to post a meeting
Yeah,
after the deliberative session, but since we're meeting beforehand, we would just recess here, do the deliberative. If there are no changes,
right.
and there's no need to meet, then you can simply
Adjourn.
adjourn your
Adjourn.
meeting
Hey,
down.
Scott?
Yes, sir.
Heather?
Yes, go ahead, Dan.
We are required to meet after the deliberative so we can formally adjourn.
Right.
Right,
Yep,
right.
that's what Scott
Yes,
was
that's
just
what I was
saying. Yep, okay.
Okay.
So is
Yeah.
everybody good,
Sorry.
6 o'clock here, so no A and F that night?
Correct.
Okay, so no A and F, Dan, on February 6th?
So,
Okay.
Acknowledged.
Okay,
so the other, in terms of new business, just so you're aware, we do have a group that is interested, so it'll probably appear on your second meeting in February, unless you want to not do it then. There is a group that wants to start a middle school football program. These individuals they're required by your new policy to fully fund that for 3 years. It is my understanding that they do have that commitment of full funding. I spoke to one of the parents this evening at the basketball game, and they would prefer to do it in February only because they have to order equipment, and there are, believe it or not, even supply chain issues on shoulder pads and football pads and all that stuff. So, if it's okay, I didn't want that to spring that. If you want to hold that for another date, I just wanted to
February
like.
6th,
It would not be February 6th, it would be
February
February
20th.
22nd, whatever.
the 20th, yeah,
20th,
I
yeah.
thought you were asking
20th.
to put it
Yeah.
on the 6th, because we already have
No,
presentations
we wouldn't do
from
it, we wouldn't do it
tonight.
on the 6th. It would
Okay,
be-
February 20th
Yeah.
is fine
Okay.
with
Yeah.
me. Yep.
And the other thing that I was going to share with you is that on your agenda this evening was the Goffstown High School lunch.
Lunch, presentation.
Megan and I met, as well as the high school, and I believe at the end of the day, you'll hear all the presentations, but I believe we'll be in unison in the fact that we think this needs to continue longer,
Okay,
simply because we need to see how this shakes out financially, for one, because the financials dipped and then they rebounded, okay? So I had concerns about the impact it had on the food service program, and what that would mean towards increasing lunch prices for high school students, or you would have to subsidize that from general funds. Those numbers have since rebounded, but whenever you change a menu at a restaurant, you change the hours of it. This is the only true business that we have in the district. You have to let it play out more than just a month or two. You really need to see where the trajectory is going, and right now, it kind of looks like an EKG in terms of the financials. It's all over the place.
But we'll get that presentation
Yeah.
February 6th.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. Is there anything else? Go ahead, Jenny.
Scott, I'm just wondering if you've explained the whole process to the football team about what they need to do when they come to present to us?
This is a group of parents, and I think it's also the athletic director is involved in this, but the process is that they've been given the new policy, and the
Okay.
new policy says that they have to appear before the board.
Principal, okay.
And they have to get approval, and it also has to be funded entirely for 3 years. And after that third year, it gets evaluated as to whether or not it's a program that would continue and be potentially funded by the school district. So they're well aware that they are on their own for 3 years.
And
that's
they
every-
know it all has to be written up, and they need to
Yes,
have
they have,
okay of the principal.
and they have
all
that.
stuff.
I just
Okay.
didn't want to, if the board wanted to wait until after the next election or something
Mm-hmm.
like that, I would have to let them know so they could make some alternative plans, because they're nervous about, if they do proceed with this, they're worried about the equipment, because they need the equipment by late July.
Yeah, I think they could come February 20th.
Yeah,
Everybody's
okay.
good with that.
That was the
right?
only.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just hoping that they knew the new process.
Oh, they
that
do,
we
Yeah,
and
they do.
and they have,
Yeah.
they
Okay,
have
good.
prepared, I think it's like a 3 or 4 page memo. It's
Okay,
pretty
good.
detailed.
Good,
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Go ahead, Ellen, I saw your hand.
He answered
You
my question.
Okay, perfect. All right, so thank you all for being flexible and changing till tonight. Appreciate that. Is there anything else?
Oh, this is so
All right, so I'll need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn?
By Ellen, do I have a second? By Caroline, we'll do roll call. Shane?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Caroline? Yes. Ginny?
Yes?
Retta?
Yes.
And Heather, yes, we are adjourned. Thank you, Dan, feel better?
So Dan, I'll send you that
Thank you.